Now, the most beautiful word ever written at any time in any country in human history came from India, from the Upanishads, 3,000 years ago. Ahimsa, non-violence to any living being. And I choose to define it as non-violence in everything we do, say, and think, not just in what we do. So when I'm asked to describe myself, I describe myself as ahimsan.
Welcome to part 2 of our 4-part show, Philip Wollen, the venture capitalist for noble causes, featuring a towering figure in the world of social justice advocacy, Mr. Philip Wollen. In part 1 of our show, we learned about the remarkable actions of Mr. Philip Wollen, who gave up his position as the Vice President of Citibank and channeled all his energy and most of his wealth into altruistic endeavours in Australia and beyond. His tireless efforts over the last 30 years, epitomised by his initiative, the Winsome Constance Kindness Trust, has helped alleviate the suffering of many and brightened the future of all. One of the most impressive undertakings of the Kindness Trust is the Kindness House, which he describes as an NGO incubator. Mr. Wollen talked about this innovation in a 2019 interview with Supreme Master Television.
One of the more unusual projects is Kindness House. It's a large building here in Melbourne. It was a building of about 40,000 square feet. And I brought in about 300 very talented, ambitious, capable activists from 45 different NGOs. And they included NGOs like, for example, Sea Shepherd, Greenpeace, Lawyers for Animals, the Wilderness Society, social firms, the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence, Artists for Kids, National Multicultural and Ethnic Broadcasting Corporation, the Torch Project, Animal Active, the Australian Wildlife Protection Council. 85% of the people in the organisation paid no rent at all. We would pay everything like rates, taxes, insurance, cleaning, electricity, security guards. And we had boardrooms, training rooms, kitchens, showers, a movie theatre, you name it, we had it, high-speed internet. It was very successful. Some organisations that had come to us who had been working off a kitchen table grew to have hundreds of people in their organisation beyond zero emissions. I mean, look at what they've accomplished today. Look at the Wilderness Society, look at Sea Shepherd, look at Greenpeace. It really is a remarkable success story. We only had 2 important clauses in the lease agreement. One, if you ate animals in my building, I kick you out. And 2, if you had a dog and you didn't bring him to work in the morning, we kick you out.
Mr. Wollen attributes one key reason for the success of Kindness House to the cooperative spirit among the disparate NGOs housed in the building. This is attested by one of the tenants, Mr. Mark Donadue, President of Vegetarian Victoria, who has also been the director of the annual World Vegan Day, Melbourne, since 2003.
And I think because many of the people there made that effectively their second home, because they've spent so much time there. And I think it creates a synergy. And not all of the groups knew a lot about, what the other groups did. Some, for example, the Wilderness Society know a lot about, the environment and all that, but may not know that much about, say, veganism in great detail, or maybe about the health side or about what goes on in animal industries. And so we would learn from each other. And I think it was great, that we had that opportunity to learn, and it made everyone better. And having Phil, there, to basically set the example, it just lifted everybody up. And it was just a wonderful experience to be there. And I was really, really grateful in the years that we were at Kindness House, and we all experienced a lot of growth, not just in our group, but a personal growth as well. And it had an effect on us, to be more, and to do more, and to help achieve our potential.
Another noble initiative of the Winsome Constance Kindness Trust is the Kindness Gold Medal. Each year, Mr. Wollen personally selects an exemplary humanitarian and honours him or her with this award, along with a cash prize of 25,000 Australian dollars. Past winners include Dr. Jane Goodall, Shining World Compassion Award recipient of the Jane Goodall Institute; Miss Maneka Gandhi, Shining World Compassion Award recipient of the Indian Parliament; Captain Paul Watson, Shining World Hero Award recipient of the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society; Dr. T. Colin Campbell, author of the China Study; and Mr. Damien Mander, Shining World Compassion and Hero Award recipient, founder of the International Anti-Poaching Foundation. For our show today, let us take a listen to a heartwarming tribute to Mr. Wollen from one of the award recipients, Mr. Damien Mander, taken from a Skype interview with Supreme Master Television in July 2019.
Phil, Trix, thank you so much for everything you've done for me, for our organisation, for our movement. You're an inspiration to everybody out there. If more people did a fraction of what you have done with your lives, the world would be a much better place. And I thank you for that. Keep setting the example you're setting. Keep doing what you're doing. The message we say today may feel like it falls on deaf ears, but that message is accumulative, and the truth always wins. So thank you both very much. I love you both, and good luck.
Caring viewers, let us step outside for a moment to enjoy the beautiful bird songs that bless our gardens and forests. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back, jubilant viewers. Let us now look at some other operations of the Kindness Trust. Through the shining example of an NGO that Mr. Wollen and his wife Trix have worked closely with through the years, Visakha Society for Protection and Care of Animals, VSPCA of India, founded in 1997 by another former banker, Mr. Pradeep Kumar Nath. VSPCA's first kindness project was the Kindness Street program for homeless dogs.
There's a wonderful project in India on the Bay of Bengal in Visakhapatnam called VSPCA, run by a remarkable man named Pradeep Nath. Now, we met him 15-odd years ago, and we funded his animal birth control project, where dogs are picked up on street corners, taken to the shelter, where they are spayed and neutered, and anti-rabies injections are given to them. They're kept there for 2 or 3 days till they feel better, and then they're released back on the same street corner on which they were caught by the dog-catching vans. As a consequence of this initiative, the incidence of rabies, for example, has plummeted down to almost zero from a very high number. And as a consequence of this initiative started by Pradeep in Andhra Pradesh, the number of street dogs have plummeted as well, and the quality of life for these animals has improved rapidly.
From the Kindness Street project, helping to improve the lives of homeless dogs, was born the Kindness Mobile Restaurant, helping the many homeless people who care for homeless dogs, contributing to greater kindness on the streets where they live.
We were driving down the street one day, Trix and Pradeep and we noticed a lot of poor people who lived in the streets. They slept under a tree or under a shop awning, and they would beg for food during the day, and they always had a dog or two for company and security, and they would share the food with the animal. And this was a very touching experience for us. Well, we decided to try an experiment many years ago. We signed a contract with a restaurant, and that restaurant provides a hot meal. It's a large mound of rice with a vegetarian curry poured over the top of it, and maybe a hot soup, and whatever fruit is in season, apple, pear, banana, or peach, and a sachet of pure, good, clean drinking water. So we started off with one of these so-called kindness restaurants, and at the moment we have 5 of them. And then from the third stage, from the Kindness Mobile Restaurant, we purchased land, rural land, and on each property we have about 3,000 animals, 2/3 of which are usually bovine, buffaloes and cows, and planted about 40 to 50,000 plants and trees. And because we've got these buffaloes and cows, we produce a lot of cow dung. And the property has a very large biogas plant on it. And now the shelter it's called Kindness Farm, produces enough methane gas to provide for all the cooking needs on the property. And it has animals of every species imaginable, cows, buffaloes, dogs, cats, birds, emus, you name it, and we've got them there. It's a veritable Garden of Eden. It's a beautiful place. And now Pradeep is very keen on expanding the Kindness Skies project to look after the painted stork population that comes all the way from Siberia into India. And now, in the last 3 years, we've latched on to the Kindness Kids program to provide money and help to children who will take the concept of veganism home to their families and to their communities and their friends.
During his many speeches, Mr. Wollen frequently quotes a world-resounding phrase to describe himself, one central to all great religions and cultures from our human history, that helps us genuinely understand his noble position and course of action.
Now, the most beautiful word ever written at any time in any country in human history came from India, from the Upanishads, 3,000 years ago. Ahimsa, non-violence to any living being. And I choose to define it as non-violence in everything we do, say, and think, not just in what we do. So when I'm asked to describe myself, I describe myself as Ahimsan.
Mr. Wollen is fond of quoting famed American anthropologist Dr. Margaret Mead's famous saying, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Mr. and Mrs. Wollen certainly exemplify that poignant utterance. In addition to the work of the Kindness Trust, Mr. Wollen and Trix are frequently involved in emergency help for the unfortunate and the disaster afflicted. When the infamous Indian Ocean tsunami struck in 2004, they raced from Adelaide to Melbourne to give instructions to their banks, sending more than $140,000 to India within 48 hours. In another instance, while in Bangalore, Mr. Wollen had looked up a former classmate after 40 years, and upon learning that he had lost his eyesight and was living hand-to-mouth, met the entire expenses of his eye surgery. Such random acts of kindness by this compassionate couple are too numerous to be recounted here. As we come to the conclusion of this second episode, we can only thank them humbly on behalf of all beings on earth and pray that heaven blesses them abundantly for their selfless giving. For more information on Mr. Philip Wollen and Winsome Constance Kindness, please visit www.kindnesstrust.com.